February 1959, deep in the Ural Mountains, one of history's greatest mysteries was about to unfold. That night, 9 young climbers tore their tents from the inside and escaped. Without taking any belongings, they ran barefoot into the blizzard. But why? The team was not found for days. Their families informed the authorities, and search efforts were launched. After days of searching in harsh winter conditions, on February 26, 1959, their tent was found. However, there was no movement inside this tent. Looking inside, the furniture was in its place, the food was still there, but where was the team? But the real strangeness began when the bodies were found. The first 2 bodies were found under a large pine tree, 1.5 kilometers from the tent. The branches of the pine tree were broken, as if they had tried to climb up. There was blood on their hands. They were naked, and their bodies were frozen. Why had they gone so far from the tent? What's more, the 4 bodies found near the tent were even stranger. Other bodies had even more gruesome details. The rib cage was crushed from the inside, but there were no external signs of impact. Another body had a fractured skull. Most frightening of all, Ludmila Dubinina's tongue and eyes were missing. Scientists still can't explain how this could have happened. The Soviet government withheld details about this incident. The official report said it was caused by an avalanche, but this theory left some questions unanswered. Was it really an avalanche, or were they victims of a military experiment? What about those bright lights in the sky? These 9 young people were not just amateur climbers. They were an experienced group with the ability to survive in the most extreme conditions. Led by Igor Dyatlov, they set out to make a climb that would be certified by the Soviet Union. The journey was an adventure for them, but in the end, it would cost them their lives. In January 1959, they set off for the Ural Mountains. Their plan was to reach Mount Otterton and complete this difficult route. They were writing their diaries and taking photographs, but the photographs of their last days remain a mystery even today. In their last photos, their faces were tense, as if they were worried about something. But what? As they entered February, weather conditions suddenly deteriorated. Strong winds, heavy snowfall, and temperatures as low as -30 degrees made their progress difficult, but the team persevered until they reached the last campsite. On the night of February 1st, 1959, the Dyatlov team arrived at their campsite. According to their photographs, they had carefully pitched their tents and secured them to the snowy ground, but one of their last photographs remains an unsolved mystery to this day. One of the group was looking at the camera as if he was uneasy about something, or had they seen something? Exactly what happened that night is unknown, but one thing was clear. What happened that night left only a terrible mystery in the morning. Dyatlov and his team encountered something that night, but what? By the scheduled return date, there was still no news of the Dyatlov team. Their families became worried and appealed to the authorities, but the Soviet authorities didn't take it seriously at first. The young men may have been a bit late, they said, but days passed and still no one had heard from them. Finally, on February 20th, a rescue team was organized, but the weather conditions were very bad. Heavy snowfall and strong winds made it difficult for the team to move forward. After days of searching, they finally reached the campsite. But what they found was a disaster. When the rescue team arrived at Team Dyatlov's campsite, the scene was disorienting. The tent was torn from the inside. The camping equipment was not disorganized. Even the food and clothes were neatly organized inside the tent, but no one was there. The camp was abandoned, as if someone had suddenly run away. Footprints leading away from the tent indicated that the team had fled the camp barefoot and wearing only their underwear. Following the footprints, the rescue team found the first 2 bodies, about 1.5 kilometers away. They were lying frozen under a pine tree. Their hands were covered in blood. Their fingernails had peeled off, as if they'd been clinging to something. However, the most frightening discovery came later. A little further away from the tent, 3 more bodies were found. Their bodies looked as if they had fallen to the ground while trying to reach somewhere. Most frightening of all was the death position of these people. Their faces were frozen with fear. Initial examinations of the bodies revealed unusual findings. The first 2 bodies had no physical trauma. They appeared to have frozen to death, but the other bodies were very different. Some had their ribcage broken from the inside. Moreover, there were no external signs of impact. Some of the bodies had completely crushed ribs, but But these were not simple fractures that could be caused by an avalanche. Their internal organs were shattered, as if they had been subjected to high pressure. Even stranger, there were no scars on their outer surfaces. How was this possible? The body of one of the team members, Ludmila Dubinina, was in a mind-boggling state. Her tongue was found to have been completely cut out. Her eyes were missing. Scientists were at a loss to explain whether these losses were caused by animals or by some other force. But the most surprising finding was that high levels of radiation were detected in some of the corpse's clothing. Under normal circumstances, it would have been impossible for such a thing to be found in a mountaineer's clothing. The Soviet government kept this detail secret for years. Was this a nuclear test accident or some other unexplained event? All these strange details have made the Dyatlov Pass incident a complete mystery. But there are more questions. What really happened? The Dyatlov Pass incident has raised even more questions as more evidence has come to light. The wounds seen on the bodies, the high levels of radiation, the tent torn from the inside. All these details show that it was not a simple accident. But what really happened? The most common theory is that Team Dyatlov fell victim to an avalanche. If there had been an avalanche, the team could have tore their tents in panic and fled. However, this theory leaves some questions unanswered. The area where the tent was pitched was a flat area with no avalanche risk. Moreover, most of the bodies showed no signs of an avalanche. According to some researchers, Team Dyatlov may have been caught in the middle of a secret Soviet military experiment. The high levels of radiation detected in some of the bodies could be the result of a military explosion or a chemical test. There are also allegations that the Soviet military was conducting covert operations in the area at the time. There were eyewitnesses who reported seeing orange lights in the sky that night. So, did the Dyatlov team witness something in the sky? According to paranormal claims, the team may have been attacked by an unknown entity or an unexplainable force. However, there isn't enough evidence to confirm this theory. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of history's greatest mysteries. What did they really encounter? An unknown force of nature, a secret military experiment, or a paranormal event? What do you think? Despite all the years that have passed, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains unsolved. Some believe in the avalanche theory, while others think it was the result of a military experiment. And then there are the paranormal theories. Many still believe this event could be linked to an extraterrestrial entity or an unknown force. So, what is the truth? What could be the truth behind this incident? What do you think happened to the Dyatlov team? Was it an avalanche disaster, a military test, or a paranormal force? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to keep exploring mysterious events. See you in the next video.